stint back home after the first year at UE. And you wouldn't. So we've asked them to help us to look at the various land laws in Guyana and to come up with some recommendations for us to determine where are the gaps. And so I believe in a very short space of time they'll be able to put together some information for us which will be useful to guide us in terms of determining where the changes that are needed in relation to these acts. So they've come this afternoon. I brought them, Mr. Joshua Benn, Mr. Greenwich, and Ms. Capel, the three of them. They spent 3 weeks with us at Lands and Surveyors, and so I'm going to just ask them to give a brief summary of the work that they did and ask one of them to hand over the document to you.
Good afternoon again, sir. As the Commissioner said, I'm Josh again, along with me I have my two other colleagues. Primarily, we were tasked with reviewing the laws relating to the operations of Guyana Land Survey Commission. We did that for a period of 3 weeks. Importantly, we reviewed the laws that conflict as relates to the land usage and who has control of the land. We reviewed the legislation of the Land Survey Commission, Geology and Mines, Forestry, the Marine Affairs, and the MME. What we found were major overlaps as relates to who really controls the land. On one hand, we have the Guyana Land Survey Commission being given charge over and guardianship powers over the land, but then we have these other agencies, or commission rather, exercising some level of control with the exclusion of the Guyana Land Survey. So, having found that, we did some historical research. And what we found were that the powers that were given to Guyana Land Survey Commission, they were not in fact given with full scope of the powers, being that the historical research that we have conducted, we found that what existed before the advent or the coming of the Guyana Land Survey Commission was that all the agencies worked together on one board. They worked as brothers and sisters, but over time they separated, and with that separation came the loss of the flow of information back and forth from the different agencies. So having found that, we recommended that the legislation be amended to reflect the harmonious relationship that is supposed to be existing between the agencies.
That would have covered it nicely. We also looked at the administrative setup in terms of the review for the contract with employees for workers, as well as the contract for leases. GL&SC also issue leases. We ensure that it's a tighter condition that they will be signing, and it's more crisp in keeping with what the law provides.
Okay, Ms. Capel.
To add to what my colleague Josh mentioned, when we did do the historical background, when we traced lands department to what it really was before, which would have been the Council and Department, we found that originally they had control over lands as well as forests, but with the passing of the forest legislation, that changed so that the word forest is extracted from the long time of the land. So it goes to show the intention of Parliament to have each commission deal with something, a different land resource. Based on those recommendations, we said that there should be a more sibling-like relationship between lands, forests, geology and mines, and marine environment, so that we're all dealing with land resources.
They will be doing a presentation tomorrow to the board.
Okay.
And any changes they recommend will be incorporated and finalized, but this is just the first draft of the document we'll share with you. And hopefully before the end of the week we will have a final draft, so with recommendations that we can present to you for your onward presentation to Cabinet. So this is the copy of the legislative review done by the proposal.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner. I'm very, very pleased with this, at least the use to which the time of these budding attorneys have been put during the period between the first and second year. I know usually sometimes people utilize that opportunity to get some rest R&R, but it's important that you've been given this very, very important assignment. As you know, land is something that is always the subject of some type of controversy. And the harmonization of our laws is an issue which has been raised at the Lands and Surveys Commission, and it's something which I've asked the Commissioner to pay particular attention to. The entire viability of the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission is dependent on their being able to exercise that authority which is given to them under the laws. And to the extent to which you have overlapping of authority, it is to that extent the persons who are the beneficiaries of state lands sort of dodge in between the raindrops. And rather than paying the lease, they claim that, oh, I'm dealing with MMA or I'm dealing with GL&SC. So rather than having a very clear, defined position, people utilize that, what I would call a lacuna in the law, to be able to benefit themselves. So that this is an important first step, and I look forward to the final recommendations which will come from the board as to the way forward. Law review, law revisions, is a continuous process. And once human beings are alive, laws will change. It is never a static thing. The law is a living thing, a living organism. And therefore, I want to congratulate you for this first step. I'm sure that after you completed your studies at the GL&SC Law School, that you may find the land law and the practice in the land court something that you might want to pay more particular attention to. So again, on behalf of the Ministry of the Presidency, I want to thank you for this first step. I look forward to the final recommendations which will come from the board, you having presented it to them tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes. So thank you again. You're welcome. Right.